We're dropped into a crazy intense battlefield, with bodies everywhere, swords scattered around, and literal pools of blood on the ground. One warrior is still standing, looking like he's been through hell, with a blooded face and his sword still clutched in his hand. He's kneeling on the ground, his face resting on his fists, and he's just taking in the devastation around him. The rain is pouring down, soaking him to the bone, and he's just breathing deeply, trying to process everything. He looks around, taking in the sheer number of bodies, and his eyes widen in shock and grief. He's clearly lost friends and comrades, and it's hitting him hard. He lets out a loud cry of frustration and anger, and just as he's about to lose it, the deep, rumbling voice interrupts him. The voice is like nothing he's ever heard before, and it's saying something about a high youth's carelessness. The warrior's head snaps up, and he turns to face the voice, wondering who or what is speaking to him. The voice continues, saying it didn't think there were any strong humans in this realm, and the warrior is just staring, trying to wrap his head around what's happening. The warrior is in attack mode, stunned that the giant, a high youth, is still alive. He's standing on the giant's massive body, which is covered in bruises and scars, with one of its horns broken. A high youth's been wreaking havoc on the empire for no reason, and the warrior is furious. He stomps on the giant's face, demanding to know why it's still alive, and why it's caused so much destruction. A high youth responds calmly, saying it won't be alive much longer, and will soon return to his side, but the warrior has no idea who or what that refers to. The warrior is pleased to hear that a high youth will be dying soon, saying that the giant's friends who died before it will be waiting. A high youth asks which friends the warrior is talking about, and the warrior explains that he's referring to the other two giants who came before a high youth. Apparently, one of the giants got fried by a hot-tempered red dragon, and the other was sealed away for eternity by some old guy named Ronan. A high youth looks at the warrior with a deranged expression, asking if he still doesn't get it. The giant explains that since they are children of the stars, they share their senses with each other, so they know that their opponents have all been annihilated along with them. The warrior's expression changes, and a high youth says he's certain that the demise of his fellow giants and their opponents means that strong people like the warrior no longer exist. The giant seems pretty confident about this, but the warrior's not saying anything, just staring at a high youth with a weird look on his face. Our guy bursts out laughing, telling a high youth that he's still alive and standing, so the giant's words don't make sense. He's standing on the giant's head, sword in hand, looking fearless and authoritative. A high youth is saying some final words, warning our guy not to get ahead of himself, because his time is also running out. The giant is glad that our guy didn't realize his full potential, or he would have been a major obstacle to the giant's plans. Our guy isn't arguing, just saying that he's lived a messed up life, and doesn't care about the giant's warnings. He's had enough of a high youth's talk and beheads the giant with a swift and precise strike. With the giant defeated, our guy walks away, stopping to take in the aftermath of the battle. He's wondering what's next, what he'll do about everything that's happened. The rain is still pouring down, creating a somber mood. He's thinking about his squad, his friends and comrades who died in battle. He remembers the good times they had together, the laughter and camaraderie. Now they are all gone, and he's left to mourn their loss. He's standing over their corpses, cursing them for fighting until the end. He's asking if they thought they were strong just because he is. He's shutting their eyes, saying goodbye to his friends. The scene is intense and emotional, with our guy struggling to come to terms with the loss and the reality of war. Our guy is feeling the weight of his grief, saying his friends should have just run away and lived. He's questioning everything, wondering why his sword was the only one that could defeat the giants. He's feeling overwhelmed, like he's in a nightmare he can't wake up from. He's looking at the bodies of his friends, feeling like he's lost his way. He's on his knees, feeling hopeless, wondering how he's going to move forward. But then, out of the silence, he hears a faint voice calling out for help. His eyes light up with hope, and he listens closely, trying to locate the source of the voice. The voice calls out again, and he recognizes it's someone he knows. He jumps into action, striking his sword to the ground and rushing towards the voice. He's excited, hoping against hope that someone, anyone, is still alive. As he rounds a corner, he sees a figure standing on their feet, and his face breaks out into a huge smile. It's a woman, a soldier, and she's alive. He's thrilled, feeling like he's been given a second chance. The woman is Grand Commander Aid-shan, and she's a total badass. She's lost a hand in battle, but she's still standing tall. Our guy is in awe, feeling grateful that she's alive, and he can't wait to see what she's capable of. Ronan's face lights up with joy as he looks at Grand Commander Aid-shan, who's sitting on a rock, looking fierce despite her injuries. He's thrilled to see her alive and can't help but tease her about being in a bad state for someone in command. Aid-shan gives him a stern look, asking if he's forgotten that she's his superior officer. She fixes him with a serious gaze, asking if a Haiute is really dead. Ronan confirms that he killed the giant himself, and Aid-shan lets out a deep sigh of relief, tears streaming down her face as she thanks Ronan for his service. Aid-shan's clearly overwhelmed by everything that's happened, and Ronan's expression changes as he asks if she's willing to listen to a request he has. He wants the disciplinary soldiers, his comrades, to be treated with respect, rather than being abandoned or burned as per regulations. Aid-shan's hesitant, pointing out that she's not exactly in the best shape to be making promises, what with losing an arm and bleeding out. She suggests that Ronan take care of his fallen comrades himself, but Ronan says it's not that simple. Suddenly, he's racked with painful coughs, and Aid-shan looks at him in surprise, concern etched on her face. Ronan stretches out his hand, and to his surprise, there's blood in the palm of his hand. He's not as okay as he thought. He shows Aid-shan his hand, asking what she meant by saying he's more alive. He's looking at his own blood, feeling a sense of unease, and says he could die any second now. Ronan's being honest with himself, saying he's been slacking off most days, and it affected his performance in battle. He's feeling a bit unfair, like he's going to die without achieving his potential. A Haiute's words are still echoing in his mind, saying he's got natural talent, but never bothered to develop it. Aid-shan asks Ronan if he survives, is there something he wants to do? Ronan laughs, saying he's got a lot of things he wants to do, but right now, there's only one thing on his mind, he wants to know what it's like to go to the academy. Aid-shan's taken aback, not expecting him to mention the academy. Ronan explains that the giant's words are still bothering him, feeling like a heavy burden. But what's more important is that his late sister's wish was to send him to the academy. Sadly, he thinks fate has other plans, and soon he'll be reunited with his family. Ronan smiles, thinking about finally having peace. Aid-shan doesn't like his tone, saying he shouldn't sound like that, and tells him that when the rain stops, the search party will find him. Ronan cuts Aid-shan off, saying he's already accepted his fate, and that she's just saying useless things. But before they can continue, the sun breaks through the dark red sky, and the rain suddenly stops. They are both shocked, looking up at the sky in disbelief. But their amazement is short-lived, as a severe rumbling noise starts, shaking the earth. Ronan and Aid-shan shout, scanning their surroundings, knowing something big is happening. Ronan looks around, then sets his gaze on something above, and his eyes widen in shock. No way, it can't be. A giant with 8 wings is looming above them, looking super menacing. But that's not all, there are many more giants filling the sky, different sizes, shapes, and multiple wings. It's like a whole legion of them. Ronan's on his feet, weapon in hand, asking where these giants came from. Aid-shan looks defeated, saying it's not possible, it just can't be. She mentions that the 3 giants weren't the end of it, and Ronan's confused, wondering what she means. Aid-shan's questioning everything, feeling like she's failed to save the world for the third time. But before she can give up, Ronan's loud cry brings her back to reality. Ronan's yelling at Aid-shan to get a hold of herself and help him out. He wants her to use telekinesis to lift him up, so he can reach the giants with his sword. He's not backing down, ready to take on as many giants as he can with whatever energy he has left. Aid-shan's asking him what he thinks he's doing, and Ronan's like, "What? Am I just supposed to sit here and die?" He's drawing his sword, saying he's going to give those evil giants a hard time, even if it's his last act. Aid-shan's stunned by his determination. Ronan's like a beacon of hope, standing tall in the face of death and destruction. Aid-shan's realizing that if anyone can save the day, it's Corporal Ronan. She calls out to him, and he turns around, saying he's busy. But before he knows it, Aid-shan's kissing him. Ronan's shocked, wondering what's going on. As they kiss, Aid-shan passes him a shiny blue pebble. Ronan's confused, asking what she put in his mouth. Aid-shan whispers something unclear, and Ronan's asking her to repeat herself. Finally, with a smile, she tells him that if they ever meet again, he should tell her not to do anything stupid and just become a tailor. It's like she's saying goodbye, and Ronan's not sure what to make of it. The giants are closing in, and it looks like the eight-winged giant is about to blast Ronan and Aid-shan to smithereens. Aid-shan's still smiling, saying she's done a lot of crazy things, but this takes the cake. Ronan's staring at her, trying to figure out what's going on. The giant unleashes its beam, and Ronan and Aid-shan are blown to Kingdom Come. But wait, the blue pebble Aid-shan passed to Ronan is still intact, and it's slowly turning to smoke. Ronan's eyes snap open, and he's screaming Aid-shan's name. He's standing in a massive field, surrounded by green grass and a clear blue sky. It's like he's been transported to a different world. He looks around, taking in the familiar sights of his hometown, Nimbutan. He's younger now, and he's wondering if he's really traveled back in time. Ronan's sitting under a tree, trying to wrap his head around everything that's happened. He remembers Aid-shan's words, explaining that the object he swallowed was a time-turning orb. That's how she rose through the military ranks to become Grand Commander. The orb can be used to turn back time 4 times, and Aid-shan's already used it 3 times. She's handed the power to Ronan, believing he's the key to stopping the world's destruction. She tells him to sharpen his skills, and Ronan's determined to do just that. Ronan's memories are flooding back, and he's recalling his conversation with Aid-shan. He's feeling a bit silly now, thinking he was just spouting off stuff when he thought he was going to die. But now, he's here, in the past, and Aid-shan's words are echoing in his mind. She told him to go to Phil Leon Academy if he wants to learn, saying it's a place with outstanding people who can help him. He's also remembering her weird request, asking him to tell her not to do anything stupid, and just become a tailor if they ever meet again. Ronan's slamming his hand against his head, feeling overwhelmed, and wondering if this is all real. He's holding onto a tree, screaming at the top of his lungs, wishing he could wake up from this dream. People are staring at him from a distance, probably thinking he's lost his mind. Ronan's still screaming, feeling frustrated, and wondering what he's supposed to do now that he's back in the past. It's all too much to handle on his own. But then, something clicks in his mind, and he gets an idea. If this is really the past, maybe he can see his older sister again. Ronan's eyes light up, and he picks up a stick, feeling a sense of purpose. He gets to his feet, stick in hand, and takes off, searching for a familiar face, someone to talk to, a guiding light to show him the way. Ronan's running through the streets, determined to reach his destination. He's convinced that if he really did travel back in time, he'll find what he's looking for if he just keeps going. As he runs, he notices a group of punks bullying someone. Ronan's instincts kick in, and he can't just stand by and watch. He sees that the kid is being held upside down by some kind of magic, and his eyes widen in surprise. He thinks to himself that someone with magical abilities like that is a rare find, especially in a small countryside town. Ronan's thoughts are interrupted by a red-haired kid who's watching the scene unfold. The kid looks worried, and Ronan can tell he's thinking about how to intervene. The hanging kid is begging to be let down, explaining that he doesn't have any money, because his mom's medicine has been really expensive. But the bullies aren't having it. One of them slaps the kid hard across the face, saying he doesn't care about the kid's mom or her medicine. The bully's face twists in a cruel grin, and Ronan can feel his anger rising. This kid's got some serious villain vibes going on. The bullies are having a blast, smiling and enjoying the show as they instruct the red-haired kid to lift the hanging boy even higher. The little magician, Recal, is visibly shaken, refusing to comply, fearing that if he makes a mistake, the boy could get hurt. The lead bully turns on Recal, shouting at him to shut up and lift the boy higher. Recal's stunned, wondering how he ended up in this mess, questioning whether learning magic was a mistake. He'd only learned magic to prove himself, but now he's stuck with this bad crew, bullying the weak and oppressing others with his powers. Recal's struggling with his conscience, tears streaming down his face as he bites his lip. He needs to speak up, to tell the bullies to stop, but he's scared. Finally, he finds the courage to plead with them, his voice barely above a whisper. Just as he's speaking up, Ronan walks up to the group and whacks Recal on the head with his stick, trying to snap him out of it and stop him from harming the hanging boy. The stick's impact breaks the magic's hold, and the boy falls to the ground. The head bully's furious, turning on Recal and demanding to know what's going on. Recal's trembling, begging for mercy, saying it was an accident. Ronan calls out to Recal, telling him to ignore the bully and focus on him instead. Recal recognizes Ronan, and our guy says he wants to talk to the young magician about something. The bully's being completely ignored, like he's invisible. Ronan's asking Recal where he learned telekinesis magic, and Recal's scared, shaky voice says he learned it from a grimoire he bought from a peddler. Ronan's amazed, thinking it's incredible that Recal's so good with such a basic grimoire. He's impressed, but also thinks that things might be different when he's dealing with giants. Behind him, the bully's drawing his sword, and Ronan recognizes the sound. He slowly turns around, and yep, it's a sword, held by a very angry-looking bully. The lead bully's saying Ronan ignored him on purpose, looking bloodthirsty, and claiming that Ronan's acting up, because he lost to him in a past fight. Today's different, though, and the bully's ready to teach Ronan some manners. He charges forward, sword in hand, vengeance in his heart. Ronan's calmly observing the enraged bully, wondering how this punk got his hands on such a long sword. With his keen senses, he's noticed the bully's posture is pretty bad, but he's definitely strong, which is probably enough to intimidate people around here. However, Ronan's not from around here, and brute strength won't cut it with him. He dodges the blade with swift movement, leaving the bully stunned. Ronan's thinking to himself that even though his body's younger, his instincts and battle sense are still the same. He's still that mighty soldier, just in a younger vessel now. The bully's laughing, saying Ronan's lucky he missed that first strike, claiming he would have made sure Ronan couldn't even lift a spoon for the rest of his life. Ronan agrees, saying he's been unlucky his whole life, but he's lucky today. The bully's getting cocky, telling Ronan to get on his knees and beg, offering to spare his life if he listens. However, this mercy comes with a condition: Ronan will be leaving with only one arm. This bully's definitely bold. Ronan's not fazed by the threats, keeping a straight face. The bully's made a huge mistake, mentioning Ronan's sister, and making some disgusting comments about her. Ronan's eyes narrow, and he asks the bully to confirm what he just said. The bully's too proud, and he repeats his sick thoughts. That's when Ronan snaps, moving with precision and intensity. He swings his stick so fast it's a blur, and the next thing you know, the bully's ear is gone. It's like magic, but not really, because Ronan's just that skilled. The bully screaming at the top of his lungs, holding his bleeding ear with his hands. His crew's in shock, witnessing their strongest member get taken down in an instant. Ronan walks up to the bully, his eyes blazing with anger. He calls the bully a worthless punk, and you can tell he's not messing around. Ronan's asking the bully if he wants to die, and it's clear he's not in the mood for games. This is Ronan at his angriest, and you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Ronan standing over the bully, stick in hand, looking super intense. The other bullies are shook, can't believe their eyes. They are wondering how Ronan took off their leader's ear with just a stick. Ronan's calling out to the other bullies, asking if they're enjoying the show. He tells them to leave with their leader if they don't want to end up like him. He kicks the lead bully hard, shoving him away, and demands that they leave behind all the money they stole, plus some extra for ruining his mood. The bullies are too scared to argue, they agree to give it all up. Ronan hands the boy a big wad of cash, saying it's all good, and that all he wants is the long sword. The boy's super grateful, tears in his eyes, and thanks Ronan profusely. Ronan tells the boy not to worry about the bullies anymore, they won't be bothering him again. The boy's really relieved, and Ronan tells him to just go home. They both look up and see Asel still standing there, looking all teary-eyed. Asel apologizes for his actions, saying he knew he shouldn't have helped the bully, Hans. He's really sorry, and the boy's cool with it, saying he knows Asel didn't mean to hurt him. Asel's crying, feeling really bad about what happened. The young magician's eyes widen in shock, and the boy moves in to comfort him. He pats Asel on the shoulder, telling him not to blame himself for what happened. The boy smiles and says it's really not Asel's fault, and he appreciates the apology. With that, the boy thanks Ronan again and takes off, leaving Asel and Ronan behind. Asel waves goodbye, and Ronan takes a closer look at the young magician. He thinks to himself that Asel's not so bad, and wait, is Asel a girl? He shrugs it off, saying he mentioned earlier that they have business to discuss. Asel trembles at the thought of being alone with Ronan. Ronan says they'll meet again in 4 days, and Asel asks why they can't do it now. Ronan says he's busy, but it'll be perfect when the moon is up in the night sky. He draws his sword a little, his fierce eyes gleaming, and says if Asel doesn't show up, she knows what'll happen. Asel lets out a shriek, imagining the worst. Ronan dashes off, reminding Asel that she's dead if she's late. Asel stares after him, looking worried. Ronan standing in front of a cozy little cottage, surrounded by trees, and he's wondering if bringing flowers is too much. He remembers his sister likes flowers, so he just grabbed some random ones. Now he's second-guessing himself, muttering to himself about whether to ditch the flowers. Just then, someone opens the door, and it's his sister. She's surprised to see him, asking if he's really back. Ronan starstruck, frozen in place for a second. A million thoughts are racing through his mind, all the things he wanted to say to her when he saw her again. But now that the moment's here, he's got nothing. His sister breaks the silence, excitedly saying he's home early today. Ronan plays it cool, saying yeah, he's back. They head inside, and his sister Iril serves him dinner. She's thrilled to receive flowers from her cold brother and squeals with delight. Ronan's sweating, but keeps his cool, saying he's glad she likes them. Iril offers him more food, but he declines, saying he's stuffed. Then he asks how old she is this year, trying to figure out how far back in time he's traveled. Smart move. Iril surprised Ronan asked her age, and she's not happy that he forgot. She gets up, asking if he's all right, and checks his forehead for a fever. Ronan's silent, thinking that if Iril's 22, there are 10 years left until the giants invade. He's grateful for this time with his sister, who's still bright, kind, warm, and caring. He cherishes these good memories of her. Ronan wishes this moment could last forever, but life's not a fairy tale. He knows he has a lot to do in the next 10 years to protect this world and his sister. He touches her hand, saying he has something to tell her. She asks what's on his mind, and he says he's thinking of entering the academy. Iril's stunned, then excited, practically glowing with joy. She holds his hand, asking if he's serious, and jumps up in celebration. Ronan observes her happy display, and Iril starts praising him, saying she knew this day would come, and that he's smart and will excel in anything he does. Ronan appreciates the compliment, feeling happy to see his sister so thrilled. Iril's rummaging around the house, searching for something, and then she slams a big pot down in front of Ronan, revealing a surprise gift, a pot almost full of golden coins. They both stare at the pot, and Ronan's eyes widen in shock. He asks Iril how she managed to save so much money, and she explains that she's been secretly saving for a long time, hoping to surprise him if he ever changed his mind about attending the academy. Ronan's touched by her thoughtfulness, but he insists that Iril should use the money herself, saying that it won't be enough. Iril's confused, thinking that the money should be more than enough for any academy. But then Ronan drops a bombshell. He's planning to attend the prestigious Phil-Leon Academy, also known as the Imperial School. Iril's jaw drops, and she screams in disbelief, clearly not expecting Ronan to aim so high.